I'm 40. I wasted my life. Don't make the same mistake. As I stand at the precipice of my 40th year, a profound sense of regret weighs heavily on my soul. I look back on decades that feel utterly squandered, a life lived without direction or purpose, leaving me with an aching emptiness. There's nothing tangible to mark my journey, no significant accomplishments to point to with pride. I don't own a home, my savings are non-existent, and I certainly don't have a career that fills me with satisfaction or defines me in any meaningful way. Every ounce of energy, every last shred of hope and determination I possess is currently being poured into this channel because, quite frankly, I have nothing else. This is my last stand, my desperate attempt to create something real. If you happen to be in your 20s, or even still navigating the uncertain waters of your early 30s, and you mistakenly believe that you have an endless expanse of time stretching before you, let me disabuse you of that notion right now. You absolutely do not. Time is a thief, silent and relentless, and it will steal your most valuable years while you're busy making other plans. Oh, how I wish with every fiber of my being that I had someone in my life when I was younger, someone who genuinely cared enough to guide me, someone wise and intelligent enough to illuminate the true nature of life, to explain how relationships and women truly function, and to show me precisely what I needed to dedicate my focus to. That crucial guidance was tragically absent from my upbringing. Instead, I formed all my perceptions and aspirations about love, about success, and about women from a toxic cocktail of Hollywood movies and the equally clueless opinions of my peers who knew absolutely nothing more than I did. Consequently, there was no pressing sense of urgency, no broader perspective to ground me. My world was merely a collection of transient vibes and poorly conceived fantastical plans. I clung to this naive fantasy that everything would somehow magically resolve itself, that life would simply work itself out without any conscious effort from my side. It didn't. It never does. During my 20s, I deluded myself into believing I was incredibly profound and uniquely cool. This self-image was built on superficialities. I had a few tattoos, I could name obscure bands, and I played the drums. I mistook being different for having a legitimate personality, a profound identity, but I wasn't actually building anything of substance. My days were largely consumed by the shallow pursuit of fleeting sexual encounters and constant novelty. I would hook up with women driven by an addiction to the immediate, exhilarating rush, the high of the chase and the conquest, rather than any genuine desire for connection or emotional intimacy. It was the fleeting thrill, nothing more. I wasted countless hours pining after church girls who clearly weren't interested in me, hours that could have been spent investing in my future. I frequented coffee shops, chain-smoking cigarettes, sipping lattes, and attending loud hardcore music shows. I engaged in these activities far more than I dedicated myself to anything that would genuinely benefit me in the long run, anything that would lay a foundation for a stable and fulfilling future. At the age of 23, still clinging to a childish adolescence, I was playing ding-dong ditch with my friends, behaving like a 13-year-old and finding it utterly hilarious, which, in the moment, it was. Those were certainly fun times, but in hindsight, I squandered so many precious hours desperately seeking validation from individuals who, truthfully, wouldn't have cared if I lived or died at the end of the day. I genuinely believed my life was meaningful simply because it looked cool in photographs, on MySpace profiles. But all I was truly doing was burning through the most valuable, irreplaceable years of my life. These were the years when I possessed the most abundant energy, the greatest flexibility, and the vastest amount of time to construct something truly meaningful and enduring. Nobody, not a single soul, warned me that I was letting it all slip away. Nobody intervened. And when the world observes you aimlessly drifting, it doesn't step in to correct your course. On the contrary, it simply continues to bombard you with one distraction after another, feeding you seductive lies, all while cunningly profiting from your blindness and profound ignorance. Then, as time fast-forwarded into my late 20s, I found myself entangled in a relationship that utterly wrecked my life. she became pregnant, and instantly, everything irrevocably changed. I want to make it unequivocally clear. I love my son more than words can express, and I would never, ever undo his existence. He is the greatest gift. However, that relationship itself was nothing short of a catastrophe. I possessed absolutely no wisdom or discernment when it came to choosing a partner. I tragically confused chaotic drama, intense passion, and volatile emotional swings with genuine love, primarily because no one had ever taken the time to teach me the fundamental differences. I genuinely believed it was normal for relationships to be dramatic and unpredictable, thinking that such turbulence somehow signified a deep connection or that we were meant to be. I don't know what I was thinking. Instead of finding a loving partnership, I ended up in the cold, unforgiving arena of family court, fighting tooth and nail for precious time with my own son, often treated as an unwelcome intruder and a criminal simply for wanting to be a father. My 30s, despite the popular narrative you often hear about them being the best years of your life, or even alongside your 40s, were anything but. My 30s were an absolute nightmare. I was perpetually broke, plunged into deep depression, and profoundly isolated. I constantly missed my son, agonizing over the distance between us, and continually battling the insidious games, manipulative lies, and malicious schemes my ex would employ to deliberately destroy the sacred bond between us. I wasn't merely grappling with overwhelming grief. I was contending with an entire system that seemed utterly indifferent to whether I disappeared or simply ceased to exist. Yes, there were a few attempts to date again amidst all that turmoil. It was during these tentative steps back into the dating world that I finally began to truly see what I had been so utterly blind to in my 20s. I was no longer that naive 27-year-old trapped in a romanticized 500 days of summer mindset, falling for every manic pixie dream girl simply because she also happened to like the Shins. Now, the glaring red flags were unmistakable. I could instantly spot baby rabies, clear daddy issues, and manipulative tendencies. I became like a bloodhound, acutely attuned to detect these destructive patterns. It's so easy to identify them now, and that ironically is the part that stings the most. Now I'm 40, I utterly despise my job, but it's not just the daily grind that wears me down. I feel a profound disillusionment with the entire world. Once you truly comprehend how everything operates, how fundamentally broken and rigged it all is, you cannot simply unsee it. Everything feels fake, an elaborate charade. The economy, for many, feels like a cruel scam. Inflation is mercilessly gutting families, stripping away their security and peace of mind. People are more isolated and disconnected than ever before, despite living in an increasingly interconnected world. Honesty seems to be a rare commodity, and genuine fulfillment feels like an unattainable dream. There's a pervasive, deep-seated apathy that has become woven into the very fabric of everything. That precisely is why I am here. This isn't merely a content hobby for me. This is an urgent existential act of defiance. This is me resolutely refusing to remain silent any longer. This is me leveraging whatever little I have left, my voice, my experiences, my pain, to construct something real, something meaningful, because the clock is relentlessly ticking and I can feel its urgent rhythm. And beyond that, if I were to die before I have the chance to impart any of this wisdom to my son, before he can truly understand, he's almost 11 now, I just want him to know, unequivocally, that his dad didn't simply give up. I want him to understand that I fought incredibly hard, that I endured immense struggles, that I bled in silence, battling tooth and nail to remain an active, loving presence in his life. I fought fiercely to become someone he could genuinely be proud of, and I fought against a system that was far larger and more powerful than myself, a system that relentlessly tried to break my spirit and crush my will. And so, this channel, Dad Mode and Dark Mode, is an integral part of that ongoing fight. It is my personal record, my carefully curated time capsule, my enduring legacy. It is the undeniable proof that I did not simply drift off into silence, that I was not merely a passive bystander in my own life. My fervent hope is that one day, when he is mature enough and ready to absorb these difficult truths, he will understand all of this. Therefore, if you are currently in your 20s and happen to be listening to these words, for the love of everything, stop thinking you possess an unlimited supply of time. Seriously, stop it. You do not have infinite time. You might believe it's harmless to continue chasing fleeting relationships, to waste your hard-earned money on frivolous pursuits, and to perpetually avoid responsibility. But one day, I promise you, one day you will awaken, and the devastating realization will hit you. You have absolutely no leverage, no power to change your circumstances, no clarity of purpose, and absolutely no way to reclaim those precious lost years. One day, you will wake up and you will be 40. You will find yourself trapped in a soul-crushing job that you hate, with nothing substantial to show for your life except a collection of shallow, ultimately meaningless memories that haunt your thoughts, leaving you breathless with regret, that pain, that suffocating ache in your chest. You know it, don't you? You know precisely what that pain feels like when you reflect on what once was and what could have been. Yet, every single hour you waste now is a debt that you will inevitably have to pay with compound interest later in life. You should be building something right now. Building essential skills, cultivating unwavering discipline, establishing financial stability, acquiring profound wisdom, and forging an unshakable backbone. And if you find yourself unsure of where to even begin, I've created something specifically for you. It's called the Dark Mode Protocol, and you can find the link prominently displayed in my channel description. I'll even ensure it's in the video description below. This isn't some shallow, inspirational fluff. It's not another generic self-help book. This is a gritty, no-nonsense survival guide, meticulously crafted for men who are utterly fed up with being lied to, men who are ready to start thinking clearly, acting with purpose, and reclaiming their lives. I'll also leave the link visible on the screen, so go read it. And please, if you haven't already and you're committed to building something meaningful, subscribe to this channel. Comment below if this message resonates deeply with you. If it hits hard, let me know your story, where you are on your own journey. But more importantly, please, I implore you, send this video to any man you know who is still idly drifting through life, convinced that everything is perfectly fine. Because it is not. It is absolutely not fine. You don't get a second life. You don't get a do-over, a chance to hit the reset button. You get one shot, one precious existence. So, for your own sake, do not waste it.